Greetings, YouTube. Welcome back to another episode or the latest video in my series of What Fresh Hell. I'm Jen of Arc, and as promised, today we're going to talk about lying. Uh, Part of the problem with people's thinking these days is I think people are all too prone to just believing whatever they hear. And they're segregated into like-minded communities. And so they're generally only hearing what they already agree with. Um, there's an old adage, some have attributed it to Edgar Allan Poe, but it goes way back before that. And that's to believe only half of what you read, uh, believe nothing that you read, and believe only half of what you see. And of course, with AI, that's becoming ever more important because Um, there's all this AI slop videos all over the place. Things can be made to look real that aren't. And so we've got this problem. Lying has always been a problem. It's something that for some reason does not seem to bother some people. And I don't understand that. And maybe it's because they've never really considered uh, what it means when somebody lies to you about something that's going to materially affect your well-being. Um, it's kind of always been a feature of transactions. The used car dealer driven by an old lady once a week going to church, that kind of thing. So there's always kind of been an incentive for it commercially, but it's gotten so much worse now because of social media and because all of this online stuff where the most outrageous thing is going to attract the most attention. And this person doesn't have to sell anything to you except for a falsehood because they're going to get paid just by virtue of the fact that you clicked on it and watched it. Um, and so you really have to uh, be on your toes about it. And I don't understand why people who have had somebody who's lied to them before are willing to just overlook that and assume that everything else that's coming out of their mouth is true. And yet we see that again and again. And I'll give you an example of that. Alex Jones. Um, there's an NPR story about Alex Jones where they talked with somebody, and I can't remember exactly what happened. I'm going to link it down in the description if you want to go listen to it. But they talked with somebody who had known him in high school. I think maybe it was a local law enforcement. He uh, he was involved in some fights in high school. His family ended up moving. And the way he related the story, this guy that they interviewed was in the position to know that it was the total opposite of what had actually happened. But then the interviewer says, well, now he says that, and it was one of his conspiracy theories. I'm not sure. It may have been that one that he called Operation Jade Helm. And the guy says, well, he may be right about that. Despite having just told the interviewer that everything that he says about what happened with this fight is the opposite of what happened. He lied about it. But, I mean, this other crazy thing that he's saying, maybe he's right about that. When you catch yourself doing that with somebody that you know has lied in the past, your first check needs to be, why am I invested in believing them this time? Because the guy who was talking to the interviewer that said, well, he may be right about that, um, clearly had some kind of a bias, preconceived notion, something that made him want to believe this other crazy things that Alex Jones had said. And if it was Operation Jade Helm, I want to walk through that with you. Back during the Obama administration, Alex Jones told his viewers and listeners that the government was getting ready, the Obama administration was going to take over Texas. Okay, number one, if you are the president of the United States, what would be your purpose in taking over Texas? I mean, you're already the president over the government that Texas is under. What's going to be your goal there? So, what was going on were these military operations where they do these exercises, and they were going to have all the different branches involved. And Alex Jones had pumped this up into they're going to bring all these forces in here, they're going to take us over forcibly, and what they were going to do was never clear or why they would want to do it. But it got crazier than that. He told his viewers that this was going to be staged out of abandoned Walmarts around the state of Texas. And beyond that, these abandoned Walmarts were connected by underground tunnels. And not only that, they were underground tunnels that were big enough for moving military equipment. I mean, think things like trucks, tanks. Think of how big of a tunnel that would have to be. Think of how long it takes to dig a tunnel. The channel between England and France, which was a much shorter distance than you would have to go to get from Houston to Dallas or from Dallas to El Paso, took many years to complete. And they had specialized machinery to do it. And it was a great engineering achievement. But here's Alex Jones claiming that all these abandoned Walmarts in Texas are connected by these underground tunnels. And people believed him. And the people who believed him obviously never stopped to think, okay, there's an abandoned Walmart near me. Maybe I should drive by there and see if anything's going on. Because if somebody's down under an abandoned Walmart and they're digging tons and tons of dirt out of the ground to make a tunnel, there's going to be dump trucks hauling it away. There's going to be big piles of dirt. I mean, what are you taking it out and dumping it in the Grand Canyon? You're going to fill it up? And then you have to consider the amount of manpower that would be required to bring that all together. And that, thousands of people would have had to work on this project for years before Obama ever got into office, by the way. So apparently this was a plot that started before he was ever sworn in. And so you've had these thousands of people that have been working on it, and no one's ever said a peep. Okay? It's just farcically ridiculous on its face. And yet people believed it. And if I'm remembering correctly in this interview, the guy that they were interviewing that said, no, Alex Jones is being a big fat liar about that story, he was like, well, I don't know. Maybe that's true about Operation Jade Helm. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I may be misremembering, but just as an example. So there's people out there that are making money off of lying to you. And I think the other thing that I don't get about it, when people hang in there with people that they know are lying to them, and maybe I don't have a firm grasp on this myself, but I've always considered lying to somebody for the purpose of doing something that's beneficial for yourself, but that's going to be detrimental to them, that's going to take their money, that's going to, cause them a problem in some other way, that is like maybe one of the biggest sins there is. Because you're not only abusing their trust, you're making it harder for them to trust other people in the future who are trustworthy. But beyond that, the person who's telling the lie, what they're communicating beyond just the bald-faced lie that they're telling is, I don't respect you. I don't believe you're smart enough to know that I'm lying. And I'm not concerned enough about maintaining good relations with you that I care if you figure out that I am lying and that you no longer want to have anything to do with me. And so it's just massive disrespect visited over and over and over again by somebody who tells serial lies. Now, that's my take on it. But as I've sat here thinking about it, I'm thinking, well, there's kind of maybe a two-way street going on there. There are people who get very excited about being told lies that they find that really grab hold of them. Things that appeal to their paranoid nature, uh, their tendency to be triggered into fear uh, by just about anything. I guess in that case, maybe it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, but do you really want to be one of the people whose good nature and trust is taken advantage of by people who don't respect you, who are just lying to you to make money? I don't get it. I don't get it. Why anybody would do that? But that is one of the biggest things we're up against. There's people all over this platform that they're only here to lie. I'll give you another example. I was seeing a lot of content right after Hurricane Helene, dishonest content by people that were putting up videos saying, oh, we went into this town and there's thousands of more people dead than what they're telling you. Well, the county and the state of North Carolina, they know who lives in North Carolina. There's no way that there was thousands of people who nobody knew about who died. So that was just sensationalism. But the worst things that they were doing is spreading these lies and rumors about how FEMA was coming in and confiscating supplies. And there would be people that would put up videos saying, FEMA confiscated his four-wheeler. And then you'd get all the way through the video, and what that boiled down to is some guy at a relief center that they interviewed who said, yeah, this old boy, FEMA took his four-wheeler. Well, they brought it back to him a little bit later and it was full of gas. Okay, did they take his four-wheeler or were they doing him a solid? Because that's not confiscating somebody's four-wheeler. There's no indication that that was done without the guy's permission. They brought it back full of gas. And they would put these, clickbaity titles on it, like they had witnessed this. And the way I know that none of that stuff happened, that FEMA was not in there abusing those people, is because everybody these days is walking around with a video recorder in their pocket or in their hand. And if something like that was going on, that would go so mega viral that there would be video of it. I'm from the government and I'm here to confiscate the supplies that you've collected to help your neighbors. Are you kidding me? That happened, nobody videoed it and put it up online? Get out of here. So you have to use your common sense on some of this stuff. Another example of that, all this garbage about kids who identify as cats and there being litter boxes in the bathrooms of elementary or middle schools or whatever level it supposedly was. Lots of people handed that BS around. There's kids in schools and they're putting litter box. Okay, where did it happen? Where's the video of it? Where is a picture anywhere on the internet of a legitimate litter box in a school bathroom? It don't exist. So you got to use your common sense and think, hey, something like that, so sensational, there would be pictures of it. Because we get pictures of sensational stuff all the time. So anyway, that's kind of my first bit on lying. I'm sure it won't be the last time we'll talk about it because there's a lot of those lies being batted around every single day. And it is very frustrating to those of us who know what's going on and are using our brains and we'll even go to the trouble when we hear something crazy to go look it up. And that's the other side of this. That same little thing that you carry around in your pocket or your hand, you can go on there and you can verify or debunk just about any crazy thing that you might hear. And so, if you're trying to, get a firm foothold on what's real and what's not, which is, like I said, becoming ever more difficult in this age of AI, that's your first step. You've got it right there in your hand. Type in a question. All right, so that's all I've got for this time. For my shout out to another channel that I enjoy watching, I want to recommend the channel More Jenna Phipps. Some of you may have already been following Jenna's journey as she and her boyfriend Nick renovate a house that was probably eligible for demolition in Vancouver, Canada. I think they're on Vancouver Island. I don't know if they're in Vancouver. And I've been just so bowled over by the work that they've done. It's a mid-century modern house. They've made they've done most of the work on it themselves. I mean, there's big stuff that they haven't done, like carrying big sheets of glass and putting those in. But, plumbing, electric, they've at least done part of the work on all of it. And the kind of design choices that they've made for the house are just so in keeping with the spirit of mid-century modern while still being updated to something that looks more contemporary for the current time. And again, I've just been super impressed with the work that they've done. So I'm going to link her channel down below. And if that's the kind of thing that you like, I've enjoyed watching it. You might enjoy it too. So I appreciate you tuning in. And if you like what you've heard, or if you've got a comment about it, please leave that below. If you've watched my other videos, this is only the third one. Thank you, and consider subscribing, because I'm hoping to build this channel up into something where I can do something like put on a new roof. So I appreciate you joining me, and I will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.